Afternoon YouTube, I'm Chucky2009 and I am here in the greater Chicago area with my buddy Mr. Jeff Noland, and we are at the headquarters of HTP America, and today we're going to be talking about replacement MIG guns because, as we all know, even a high quality MIG gun, is still not really an heirloom tool, and sometimes you find yourself in a situation where you need replacement parts or a whole new gun. And Jeff, I understand that you have a whole lineup of these, and you can work with all sorts of machines and all sorts of manufacturers.
That is correct. Not only do we have our own brand of machines which we use our guns on, but we also put the same quality into the replacement guns that we build for competitive machines, so we can build guns for Miller, for Lincoln, for Century, for Solar, for Snap-on, just about anything out on the market we've got a replacement gun for.
These guys have a pretty large facility here, and there's thousands upon thousands upon thousands of items in inventory here. So what I always tell people is, if you've got a machine and you need a part for it, definitely call these guys and ask, especially if it's any kind of consumable item or part for, in this case, a MIG gun, also a TIG torch, something like that, because there's a surprisingly high chance that they're going to have it here or they can get it somehow.
That's right, and our website's a good source. We have MIG gun replacement parts and consumables, and you can look your machine up by make and then model and drill down to the actual torch.
Yeah, and if you call these guys, they can give you a hand as well if you can't find something on the website. Well, hey, let's take a look at these MIG guns.
Sounds good. Okay, so this is the original Eurostyle Connection, which I believe was developed by the Alexander Binzel Corporation out of Germany, and has since been copied by a lot of other manufacturers. And the beauty of this is you can plug a gun in and install it without any tool. Okay, so not only is this the European standard, but a lot of the Chinese welders have utilized this type of connection method, and as you can see, the beauty is no tools, on and off in a second. So this is what our HTP machines use, this is what a lot of European machines use, and also a lot of the Chinese machines. So if you have a Chinese machine you're looking for a gun for, more than likely we can fix you up if it's got this kind of a connection. Okay, what we have here is a power cable cutaway of a MIG gun, and this is a coaxial cable assembly. So picture the power cable being kind of like a garden hose without the ends on it. So here is the connection that would either go to the swan neck where the wire comes out through, or we would thread on the machine connection here, the part that plugs into the welder. And you'll see there's a nice crimp connection here, and these are all the copper wires that carry the welding current. These are all crimped in here, and I'm going to cut off this insulation so you can see this. You've got actually two crimps here, your copper wires, and then your trigger leads. These two trigger leads come out through the coaxial cable assembly. You can also see the trigger leads right in there, and it runs on the other side. Now going further back here, you have the inner liner, and basically this is kind of a hollow tube, and the wire runs through the blue liner, and between the tube and the outside of the liner, so on the inside of the tube and on the outside of the liner, is where the shield gas runs. Now, where do these things fail? Just like your air hoses, where you go from a flexible to a rigid connection. So now that we've zoomed in again, we go from a flexible to a rigid connection, and again here, flexible to a rigid connection. And you can see this is a cable that's failed. And the reason that it's failed is because somebody pulled the welder around by the welding gun.
Wasn't me!
And we do our best to support this connection so you won't have a flexing here, because we put a spring support inside our plastic adapter support. But nevertheless, this is a good example of a gun getting pulled around. These wires, this connection loosens up, and it's like a bad battery cable connection on a car. It generates a lot of heat, and you can see how this is overheated, things have melted. So that's when you start to lose your arc, or you start to have a... So here we have 3 replacement guns for 3 different welders. Now you can pretty much see the handles are the same other than the color. The black one's for a Hobart, the red one's for a Lincoln, and the blue one's for a Miller. We use the same ergonomic design handle. You can see the spring support in all of them to support that connection, which is right up in here in the handle. Our Miller gun uses Miller consumables, the Lincoln gun uses Lincoln consumables, and the Hobart gun uses the Hobart or the Miller style consumables. So now you can see the back ends. These are the ends that actually plug into the machine. So this is the Miller. Again, the wire runs in through here. These are your gas connections here. The gas flows in through these holes. The O-ring seals the gas. This is your Lincoln. Again, same kind of thing. Wire goes in through here. O-rings seal the gas ports. And here's your Hobart. The wire feeds in through here. Again, these 2 seal your gas ports. And this whole brass piece makes the welding current connection. Okay, so what we have here now are your machine connections, or as we prefer to call them, the back end connections. So the front end of the gun is the end you hold in your hand, and the back end is the connection to the machine. And you'll see these are all a little bit different, but they all basically do the same thing. And we'll explain them one by one. So this is the quote-unquote Euro connection. This is what the HTP machines use, what a lot of the European machines use. Again, I believe the originator of this was the Alexander Binzel Corporation. And let me explain to you how this works. This is where your wire feeds in. This connection is your gas connection. These 2 leads are your trigger wires. And basically when you pull your trigger, you're connecting these 2 wires together. Then this whole brass piece, this inner, when it moves up against the machine, gets tightened against it by this nut, that makes the welding current connect. So this is your Miller connection. Again, the wire's going to feed in through here, your liner's behind this nut. This whole brass piece makes the welding current connection. You've got the 2 O-rings which seal off the hole for the gas to go in. There are actually 4 of them cross-drilled. And then what we have here, a little bit different trigger connection. And again, these 2 wires, when you pull the trigger, they're connected. And this is called the 4-pin Amphenol style connection. So now this is your Lincoln connection. And basically this here, again, your wire feeds in through here. We take this nut off. That will give us access to the liner. This whole thing makes your power connection. Your 2 O-rings again seal your gas. Same thing, 4 cross-drilled holes to let the gas in. This is the K530-5 version of the Lincoln gun, which uses these 2 spade terminal connections. The K530-6 version uses the same round 4-pin amp connection that we showed you earlier that was on the Miller. Okay, this is the Hobart version, and this is the later Hobart version, not the earlier Hobart Handler. That's a completely separate gun that we're not going to show you, but this is the later Hobart Handler 135, 187 style connection. So again, your wire feeds in through the liner here. Your liner is actually exposed by this nut. This whole thing makes your power connection. Your O-rings seal the gas connection. And there again you've got your 4 cross-drilled holes to allow the gas in. Now Hobart, just like Miller, has 2 different versions. You've got the spade terminals like this, and then you've got that round 4-pin amp connection for the trigger. That is based on your machine model.
Okay, now if someone has the other style of Hobart gun, is that something you'd be able to provide for them?
Oh, without a doubt. We just need to know it up front. Now this connection is the Solar Century. Some of the Snap-on machines were like this. And basically, again, you've got the same thing. Here's your liner held in with the Allen screw here. The wire's going to go right in through the front. This whole thing makes your power connection. Here's your gas hose, and again, a slightly different trigger connection. You can see those two terminals in there, and again, when you pull that trigger, they get connected together. So this is the replacement back end style gun for the snap-on type welders, the muscle MIG welders, the YA212A, the FM140. A lot of the different snap-on machines use this connection. So again, here's your liner. If you could see the other end of it, that's cut to length to go right up to your drive rollers. This makes your power connection. Your two O-rings seal the gas here, and again here your two trigger wires. So again, basically all of these things do the same thing, they just do it all a little bit different. Okay, and this is our flex neck gun. As you can see, you can bend the welding gun or the end of the welding gun in virtually any position. And this is really nice. We developed this for body shops. We found a lot of guys that are doing roll cages use this, and this is the gun. We can build this for any of the machines we showed you, the Snap-on, the Century, the Miller, the Hobart, the Lincoln, but it does use HTP 15 series consumables. This is an HTP part, this flex neck, and it uses our parts, which actually are the same as the old Miller GA16C.
Interesting, yeah. So, you know, I can see you guys have all sorts of different MIG guns here. Like I said earlier, if you're in the market for pretty much anything like this, or even parts for it, even if it's not something common, even if it's something that's been out of production for a while, maybe something that you don't see very often, definitely give these guys a call, because there's a good chance they'll have it. You know, I have people every so often message me here on YouTube, and they're like, hey Stretch, you know, where can I find this part for this machine? And that's always the first thing I tell them to do. In all honesty, I say call HTP and see if they have it, because there's a good chance they can make you something. So yeah, this was great. I learned a lot about MIG guns in this video. It's been great to shoot, and thanks for letting me film this in your facility, Jeff.
All right, no problem, Chuck. Thanks for coming out here.
Of course, check out their website, and thanks for watching, everybody.